Okay, Ambassador, welcome once more to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Pleased to have you.
Thanks.
So the President Buhari and other African leaders have just gone to Saudi Arabia for some investment initiative. They had just come from Russia, where the President Putin had invited them. Africans in that case, I think there were like 50 of them. Before that, they had gone to Japan. Before that, China had invited them. So all these guys are inviting our presidents, and they run there quickly as soon as they invite them. What is happening? Is it because Africa is a sitting duck, or is it because we represent this new strategic partner, global player that the world wants? Well, what is the real thing going on here?
I have tried to explain this by saying that Africa has become the playground of the rich and powerful nations. Looks to me as if as soon as a country becomes developed, strong, rich, confident, assertive, they follow the example that has been set by these countries you named and decide that, look, it will be easier to collectively deal with 51 nations rather than, deal with them individually and the rest. And so you find a situation where everybody now thinks that because there has been no resistance when the China-African Summit, which has been going on, I think we're about on the 8th summit now, has been no strong resistance from the continent. Others have been encouraged to summon African leaders to their capitals and then have these, summits. When it was first muted, by the way, AU was in some ways opposed to it. And
when what was first?
When this collective, summon, as they were. AU was first ambivalent, but they decided on a mechanism, to respond to it so as to maintain their relationship with China and the rest. And if I remember clearly, what they said was that no, the African leaders don't have to troop all in one go to these countries. What they could do was send representatives to discuss the broad outline of relationship with the continent. And of course, thereafter, each state was free to pursue relationship with China. But I guess maybe because of our poverty, maybe because of our needs, we all feel that no, everyone wants to represent his or her own nation. And so when these invitations are issued out, everybody responds. And then, so when the Chinese succeeded, India followed suit. India, if I remember, I'm not too sure that all the presidents went to India. I think India kept strictly to the AU. I don't know whether it was India or Japan. One of them stuck,
I think it's probably India.
Yes,
Japan, the JICA.
Yes, Japan, everybody went, and as you can see So this is what has happened over the last couple of years.
Okay, we have seen even the Arabs, because led by Saudi Arabia and the others, have made forays into the Horn of Africa, trying to dominate activities there. Of course, they have, Afro-Arabic type people in that zone. And so I'm thinking now, because all of a sudden, this is the third meeting that Saudi Arabia supposedly is having with Africa. So they too are flexing their muscle. Saudi Arabia sells oil. They're not an industrial country, but because of the money that they have, their sovereign wealth, we're hoping to get money from them. They're like a bank, or is it a partnership? And if it is a partnership, what do we expect to get out of money? And if it's money, it means we are going there cap in hand, because that's how you get money.
No. It's certainly cap in hand.
Yeah.
But you also have to begin to look at some of these things. In a number of places, for example, I think we have more visible Chinese projects in a number of countries. Now, how much they contribute to the economic growth and development of those countries, it's questionable. Yeah. They provide some relief. For example, I think they build a government secretariat in Sierra Leone, if I remember clearly. I also think they built a stadium. I can't remember. They built one or two other things.
Now, what did you get out of that?
Huh?
What
that's the point I'm trying to make. That these are okay. I mean, they play football on the stadium.
I see.
So it enables them to participate in the African Cup of Nations but beyond that, So look, I take the position that it's frankly that is shameful. It just shows the indiscipline of some of our leaders too, because if you're in a meeting that took a decision on how this should be done, I just think that the spirit of that decision should be respected. That does not stop you as a nation from establishing your own relationship with the Chinese or any other country.
Why can't the AU invite Russia to come to Addis Ababa, because Africans are having a meeting on whatever? Why can't they do that? And Russia comes there, or Saudi Arabia comes there. Why must we go to Moscow to be lectured? Sit our president
the first time I heard of this...
and they tell them what to do.
The first time I heard of the Russian-African Summit, it was actually being put together by Russia and Egypt.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be held in Sharm el-Sheikh, the popular, seaside conference, And suddenly, somewhere along the line, it was decided they should move this to...
Because that's what the other countries have done.
You're right.
Russia decided. And I also understand that there are some Africans who probably went to school there in Russia, had lived in Russia for a long time, and looking to assert themselves and saying, hey, if the West is giving you trouble, we can get Russian. But what I don't see also any industrial base or commitment that the Russians have, except for selling weapons. And if they're selling weapons to Africa, I hear they just sent some bombers and some jets or whatever to South Africa. To fight who? To fight Zimbabwe? Angola?
This is a very good observation, and contrary to the optimism that has been in the air in this country since the president returned from Russia with a lot of MOUs.
Yes.
And everybody is saying, oh, fine, great, the Russians are coming to help us. And I'll try, without trying to dampen the enthusiasm, I've tried to explain that, look, archives are graveyards of MOUs that have not been implemented. Secondly, it's not up to the Russians, it's up to us. The political will of the leadership to take advantage of these MOUs and insist in developing a roadmap for the actualization of all the agreements that were signed.
But what did it happen before?
No. What I'm trying to say is that most of the agreements or MOUs are not really new.
Okay.
They've been with us for a long. It's like a rehash, like it's brought back to the table.
Okay.
Now, coming back to a good example is Ajaokuta. Ajaokuta has been with us for over 40 years since it started. I have a strong feeling that the new technology the Russians may have in their steel production might not fit into Ajaokuta.
Okay.
So the best that we can hope for is, the best I suggested I suggested is invite the Russians to do an assessment of the plant If the plant is still worth reviving, and if they can revive it, let them revive it, manage it. And for a couple of years, and we see how it goes.
You see, Ambassador, this is what kind of bothers me. Why do we invite the Russians or anybody? Is it because we have done our homework and we found that the Russians are the best at reviving Ajahn or anything?
No.